welcome back to the Most Wanted Podcast. I'm your host, Nahum Bogala, and nothing is safe from discussion over here. Before we start off, let me shout out those listening in on Anchor, Radio Public, Overcast, Breaker, Pocket Cast, as well as Google Podcasts. Also want to give a big shout out to those listening in through Spotify as well. If you're listening in from Apple Podcasts, make sure to give a 5-star rating and review as well. If you're listening in on YouTube via the BrarHive channel, make sure to like and comment on the video and subscribe to the BrarHive channel while you're at it. You can also follow me on Twitch at Bogala Nahum, which is my last name, first name, to watch me play either games or just live react to any sort of thing. You can stay up to date with the podcast on Instagram at Most Wanted Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Most Wanted Pod. So yeah, as you guys can see, I'm in the studio. Let me explain, because normally I'm recording in my restaurant, but unfortunately we did have to close. I might as well just clear the air on a couple things, give a little, refresher, a little update. It has been a while, missed y'all. The restaurant did close. How long ago was it now? Just about a year or so? No, a year. What am I talking about? Literally last month. It was November 1st is when we closed it. It was just for the past year, things were getting hard to pay, and, we were there for about 24, 25 years. So we're might as well just get rid of it now. We've been there long enough kind of thing. So yeah, I'm kind of in the process of finding a new place to record at. This is literally at, the university right now to record at. So yeah, another thing that, a new update. My apologies for the wait. It has been quite a while since I've done an actual episode of the podcast, just because, university's been kicking my ass. What else is new? But a new thing that's been introduced recently is called Anchor subscriptions. So basically what you can do, I think it's a Spotify only thing. I'm not 100% sure. But basically, if you pay I'm only charging for about only $6 a month. You can get extra content, behind the scenes looks of the podcast as well, all through Spotify. Think of it like a lot similar to a Twitch subscription, pretty much. Except this is significantly less, you know what I'm saying? But besides that, I'm not going to force you guys to pay. If you'd like to pay and support, that would mean the world. All the money is going back into the podcast, making everything as better as possible. But, if you can't, then trust me, I get it. Don't even worry about it. So for this episode, what is this called? Twitter fingers. Yeah. So Twitter is definitely an app. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely an application that people use, has its uses. Oh, who am I kidding? Twitter is either one of the most toxic places you'll ever be at, or B, one of the funniest. Oh my goodness. It is. You got to make sure you're in the right area. So a lot of people, when they first download Twitter, myself included, right? What happens is that you'll download it and then you'll have it for a year or so, or you'll download it and you won't understand how it works or how to use it. And you're like, what is this? How do I tweet? How do I quote retweet? How do I regular retweet? All that sort of stuff. All of this news that's coming in, how does it work? And then you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to put it to the side. Just leave it. And that's what happened with me and a bunch of other people that I've talked to. And then you come back to it maybe about a month. It really depends per person. For me, it was a whole year later. I came back to it and I was like, you know what, fuck it. Let me learn how it works. And I learned and I was like, wow, I was missing out. Because beforehand, I would be using Instagram all the time, right? But the problem is with Instagram is that every single funny shit that's on Instagram is literally a screenshot from Twitter. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Let me just go to the source. And I did, and I've never looked back. Oh my goodness. Once you're in Twitter, wow, it is crazy how funny that shit can get. Niggas there, they don't care. They're some of the most ruthless, ignorant Negroes I've ever seen in my life. It's madness. Oh my goodness. But another thing that I've noticed too is as I was saying before, Twitter can be either really toxic or really, funny. I kind of covered, the funny side of it a little bit. But when it comes to it being toxic, it can get toxic. For example, the amount of stands that are on the app. Oh my goodness. Ugh. So annoying. And they'll defend, there'll be a ride or die for either K-pop star, a celebrity. I'm like, guys, why are you meat writing? There's no reason anyone should be Hall of Fame meat writing like they do. It is madness. Oh my goodness. Nah. I remember one time I saw a picture, or it was a comparison between two people. It said Ariana Grande in 2021 versus Pop Smoke in 2021. And it showed Ariana Grande, just being her fine self. Shoot me a digits, I'm here. I'm single. I'm in Calgary. You know what I'm saying? I need you. Anyways, so yeah, it showed a picture of Ariana Grande and her fine self. And then it showed a picture of Hellfire with skeletons saying yeah, Pop Smoke's in hell and Ariana Grande is thriving. I'm like, what do you get out of this? Pop Smoke was killed, was it a year now? 2 years? I can't remember. Holy shit. But yeah, I think it was about 2 years now. He was murdered, and now you're saying oh yeah, you're saying that as a joke? I'm like, come on. really, the audacity of some of these people actually is sickening. Oh my lord. Fan cams, fucking troll accounts, disgusting. Oh my goodness. There's the amount of troll accounts that are there. Troll accounts and fan cams actually kind of go hand in hand, because fan cams are like dick riding, but troll accounts are just there to cause chaos for everyone. And it's not even like the fun type of chaos. It's a type of chaos where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna make everyone argue. Like, they're Hall of Fame level instigators, and it pisses me off. Oh my lord. And then the fan cams, I think I was saying fan cams again, like last time. Anyways, fan cams, which are like pretty much a series of photos and video in a video. It's like mini videos. I don't think I can speak today. Mini clips and pictures inside of a video of a certain celebrity or, group or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to. And it's like music in the background. They add like all these sort of cringe filters over it. I'm like, come on. Are you serious? Granted, I've joked about making fan cams about certain celebrities, but as a joke. Why would you meet? Like, I've never met anyone who had a celebrity's dick so far down your throat. Oh my lord, it actually pisses me off. But what else? Oh yeah, a whole lot of ignorant people there on the app too. It's wild. Like, there's people who will just make random assumptions. People who will, it's madness. Oh my lord. It's so weird. I remember when I was on Twitter, like when I first got on, I was doing, like, there was a lot of beef when it comes to YYC Twitter. And so me, as y'all know at this point, I don't get in beef. But what I do enjoy is instigating beef. So what I did was I called myself Nahum News Central, right? And I'd pretend I was like the best media news analyst, news reporter of the entire city. I'm literally just there trolling. I'm just having fun. And everyone knew that I was having fun. Of course, when shit got serious, of course I took that shit seriously. But when it came to having fun, I was like, yeah, of course. I'm going to take my liberties with it. I'm just going to have fun with it. And it was a lot of fun. Then shit dried down in terms of Twitter because, A, COVID, and B, no one was doing shit worth, reporting. So I'm like, kind of getting cringe these days, so let me just drop it. Drop it. Yeah. You guys didn't hear a voice crack? I'm gonna edit that shit out. You'll never hear shit. But yeah, I think I mentioned this beforehand too on episode of Project YYC featuring Godwin. Go check out that episode, by the way. Also, shout out to Godwin. My boy's finally back recording. Let's go. We let us see it. All my niggas are prospering in 2021 and into 2022. We love to see it. Twitter Spaces. Now, I'm going to mention this on a Shower Talk episode. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Shower Talk is a new series that I started on ideally TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, but I'm also going to be posting them alongside in Anchor subscriptions, which you can pay for only $6. I think I mentioned that already, but Anyways, basically, I'm planning a Shower Talk around this, and Shower Talk is basically where I'm recording in my bathroom for like a couple minutes or so in my bathrobe with clothes underneath. I want to make that disclaimer. With clothes underneath. I'm not just wearing a shower robe and letting my dick hang out in the air and recording myself like that. What do you heathens think I am? Jesus Christ. I remember the first episode I posted of Shower Talk. I'll get to what the definition, I'll get to what I talk about. Give me a second. Shower Talk. I first posted my first episode, right? I was talking about the Astroworld situation with Travis Scott and shit. And I remember niggas were messaging me, like my friends were messaging me. It's like, yo, for a second, I thought you were about to flash us with your dick. I'm like, bro, okay, I'm wild, but I would never flash my thing out like that. Come on. You lot are sickening for even thinking that. Wow. But Twitter Spaces. Shower Talk is pretty much where I record myself in the bathroom with my shower robe on, kind of like as an aesthetic. And basically, I like to talk about things that probably aren't going to be too long for an episode, like a full-length episode of a podcast. So, like, say, for example, the first episode I talked about the Astroworld situation. Granted, it could have been, like, a whole segment in of itself, but, like, on a podcast. But I'm like, I don't want to be that type of person that keeps on harping on the situation. At this point, by the time I recorded and posted it, everyone has already said their piece about it. So I'm like, who am I to keep on beating down this issue? Granted, it is a very serious issue, don't get me wrong, but it's just like beating a dead horse. Like, we all know it was fucked up. And then the second episode, I talked about the third Hokage being nothing. Now, if y'all who have watched Naruto or any general anime fans have seen Naruto, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say the third Hokage is doo-doo water, literally garbanzo beans. But you'll have to watch the episode on Shower Talk. I think it's on TikTok, Instagram, It's now up on Anchor subscriptions. By the time this episodes get posted out, it'll be on Anchor subscriptions and Twitter as well. So basically, yeah, that's pretty much all it is. And like, what was I going with this? Yes, I remember what I was about to say. So basically, I have an episode lined up where I was going to be talking about Twitter Spaces. For those of you who don't know, like say for example, those who have either A, never been on a space, or B, don't have Twitter. Twitter Spaces is practically where people would hop, like say for example, you make a group, think of it like a group call pretty much, where it's like someone would create the space, and then other people can hop on the call, and then like, you know, there's a certain amount of speakers on at a time, and then, you know, you can talk about any general topic or whatever. Think of it very similar to Clubhouse, or Locker Room if you've ever been on there, or Green Room as it is now, I think. And the amount of Twitter Spaces I've seen, like, it was like a slow burner. Before there wasn't a whole lot of Twitter Spaces, but now I'm seeing them pop up all the time. And now they're talking about the most ignorant shit and the most dumb ass shit. Like for example, oh yeah, do black men protect black women? Oh, why? We don't need this. They also talked about like a whole lot of shit. I think there was one Twitter space which was like really serious, where it was like a very famous and reputable soccer journalist released a whole bunch of like exposing information about a lot of like really sickening shit on a lot of soccer players, and like a whole lot of verified accounts. Apparently Dwayne the Rock Johnson was in there. I'm like, I didn't know he watched soccer, but like huge amount of shit. And like, yeah, no, it can be very beneficial, but at the same time, like the show where it's like, oh yeah, black men versus black women, oh the diaspora wars between, you know, black Americans, Caribbean folk, and African folk. I'm like, guys, listen, we're all fighting inequality. Why are we fighting against each other? This is exactly what the white man wants. You see, think about it. They cause, you know, they spread a little bit of what's it called? A little discussion, and boom, where they're all of a sudden, yeah, black Africans think that black Americans think that they're better than like Caribbean and fucking African folk, and then all of a sudden Africans are thinking the same thing, and then the British black people are coming up bringing up their own shit. I'm like, listen, we are all fighting the white man. Why are we fighting amongst each other? Malcolm X did not die for this. MLK did not die for this. Rosa Parks did not jump up. Wait, no, I'm fucking up history here. Rosa Parks did not move for this. This nonsense. Oh my goodness. Actually gets me mad. Wow. But yeah, like me and a bunch of friends actually run a couple Twitter spaces too. Like every now and then, like probably like once a week or so. And they're too funny. Oh my lord. Shout out Steve. Shout out Celine. Shout out Sabrina. Oh my lord. Too funny, the spaces that we hold. Most of the time it starts off with white women allegations against all my brothers. You know who you are. When you're listening to this, y'all know who you are when it comes to these allegations. They're sickening. Oh my lord. But it's really fun. But like the problem is that some people tend to, and I think this goes alongside with social media altogether, where social media, you have it and it's very fun, but then some people take it too far, and you forget the fact that there's people, like they're actually people that you're talking to, so they'll say all sorts of wicked nonsense on Twitter, especially Twitter. Like IG comments or TikTok comments are bad. Comments, not comics. Comments are bad, right? But Twitter comments and like quote retweets, nasty business, I promise. Like it is bad. Like of course there's like, you know, when you're like laughing like jokingly along but you don't actually mean what you say, but then there's some people who are like wishing ill will upon you, like wishing nothing but like the absolute worst, and not in the terms of like me wishing bad terms on Peter Parker / Tom Holland in No Way Home as a joke because of, you know, him being with Zendaya. No, that's different than actually wishing like death upon someone else. That, I'm like, come on, why the fuck are you doing that? That's a person that you're wishing death upon. Like, relax, please. Yeah, this episode is really not gonna be like focused on one topic in particular. It's just like over encompassing Twitter per se. Oh yeah, recently, on speaking about Twitter, first of all, if you're not on Twitter is like where a lot of breaking news shit goes down first, and then it kind of gets spread around to other places. Like with screenshots and whatever. Like that's how most people kind of consume their news nowadays, where it's like, because they're on their phone so much, it's like, oh yeah, I just saw this on Twitter type of thing. Recently there was a big story called Surviving Sophia, I believe it was. Not a big story, but like that was a whole bunch of Twitter spaces were called Surviving Sophia. And basically what it was, and this, I'm not sure if all of this information is 100% true. Shout out my boy Godwin, the Everything Goes podcast. He also gave this information in his most recent episode, but I'm not 100% sure if all of it is true or not. So just take what I say with a grain of salt, but this is just what I heard. What's her name? So why did I just say what's her name? So Sophia, she's from Toronto, Somali girl, basically scammed $1 million out of LA influencers. And I'm like, huh? How? I need to hear the story about this. And so I'm listening, and they're like Twitter spaces with like tens of thousands of people in them. And obviously I wasn't in them because, you know, I was just chilling at home. I was probably sleeping at the time or whatever. And I just hear about it the next day, and all of a sudden I hear it's like, yeah, she went to LA. She claimed that she was homeless. She claimed that she had lupus. And for those of you who don't know, lupus is a disease, an autoimmune disease where it kind of like starts eating away at your internal organs. I know this because my LA teacher, my junior high grade teacher, Mr. Krogstad, had lupus, and where it ate half of his lungs. Like, he used to be a really fit guy, and then, you know, because he contracted lupus. Also, shout out to Mr. Krogstad if you're listening to this, by the way. Favorite teacher I've ever had. Easily. Anyways, and so it ate up like half of his lungs. So like he can still perform activities and stuff, but like never to the same extent that he used to be able to, because like he'd get out of breath really quickly, shit like that. And so she was claiming that she had like lupus, she was homeless. And she was like, yo, can I get some money off of you? Like, you know, borrow. And they were like, yeah, sure. Apparently she'd be going out to clubs, and then she asked some people for Uber money back to her place. And they'd be like, yeah, and they'd send like 20 and shit. And then over time, obviously, she's accumulating all of this money. And then apparently at some point she was saying, oh, yeah, I'm Jack Harlow's baby mama, but, you know, he didn't give me any money. And I was like, whoa, you bring it up like Jack Harlow into this shit? Okay, side tangent. What is the fascination with women and Jack Harlow? Like, Jack Harlow's my guy, right? I love the dude. Funniest rapper I've ever seen. But what's the fascination? Like, he looks like Ratatouille in human form. Like, I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand. Is it the curly hair? A white guy with curly? Really? Are you? We're losing recipes, bros. We're losing recipes when it comes to this, like, and especially, oh my goodness, I don't know what it is. I don't understand the fascination. I don't see it. I was literally chilling with my sister, right? We're at home. And I asked her, because a bunch of my friends on like Twitter and like in real life, or in terms of like girls, they were saying, it's like, oh yeah, we all got to sing for Jack Harlow. I'm like, okay. And then I go home and I'm like, I gotta ask my sister at this point. I'm like, so what's your opinion on Jack Harlow? And she says, yeah, oh yeah, he's so fine. And I'm like, I beg your pardon? And my sister kept on saying, like, yeah, he's so fine. Like, I wish I was with him. I was like, bro, please. I don't understand what the fascination is with him. It hurts my head. Please. Side tangent over. From there, like, Sophia was claiming that she was with Jack Harlow, like, as his baby mama, and that he wasn't paying, like, child support and shit. So they would send money. My question is, as LA influencers, wouldn't you be able to, like, message Jack Harlow? Because I believe the influencers were at a point where they'd actually have, like, contact with them. So my question is, why didn't you just message him and just be like, yo, your baby mama kind of wildin', you want to check in on her? I don't know. So basically, she pretty much scammed them. Originally, we heard that the number was $11 million. So I was like, I beg your fucking pardon? I was about to be like, damn, she made all of Africa proud. Claps up. But she still made $1 million. She still made $1 million off of that. So I'm like, hey, good shit. Hey, man, nigga like me about to get into the scam game. I'm about to message my boy Steve, Mr. Local Scammer himself, previous guest on the podcast. Make sure to check it out. Mental health episode and all that. Might have to message my boy Steve, Local Scammer, get into the trade, the business, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Twitter, it really brings you up to speed on, like, a lot of stuff, like, really quickly. But it can be a really fucked place. Like, you're getting so much information all at once, and it's like, sometimes you just need a break. Granted, I haven't been able to take a break because I kind of needed social media for, podcasts, like, telling people that, yeah, I'm making episodes, I'm posting episodes, shit like that, so I kind of need it. But I genuinely, some people really do need a break because it can be exhausting, especially with all the negativity and all the like horrible shit that's going on in the world these days. People really need a break, and yeah, I do not blame them at all. If anything, I need a break more than anything. I've been on this application for nonstop at this point. It's kind of nasty. I kind of need a break, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, as some people say. So yeah, honestly, when it comes to Twitter, a lot of people love to type behind, Twitter fingers, as the title is called. Shout out to Drake for that, you know what I'm saying? That line was so cold too. Twitter fingers turn to trigger. No, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. That's what the title was. Cold. Oh, that 0 to 100 diss against Meek? Nasty business. Ugh. Jesus. So, yeah, people love to forget that there's other people that they're messaging behind, all of these messages and tweets and shit like that. So I'm like, just be respectful. Just be kind. Have a good time, because it is an application based around, entertainment, learning more shit. So just try and have fun, but be respectful at the same time. Unless they deserve the slander, in which by all means, I'm all for the slander train, as you all know. I'm all for the slander train if it's warranted. But besides that, just be respectful. But hey, thank y'all for making it to the end of the episode. If you want to show love to the podcast, follow me on both Instagram at Most Wanted Podcast and Twitter at Most Wanted Pod to stay up to date on guest features, upload days, and more. Once again, I want to shout out those listening in on Google Podcasts, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Anchor. If you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give a 5-star rating and review as well. It helps me out. It helps me out big time when it comes to reading them, and it, either feedback or just general positivity or general criticism. I'll take that, no problem. I also would be streaming on Twitch at Bogalenahom, which is my last name, first name as well. You can also listen to the podcast on Spotify as well as on YouTube via the BrarHive channel, where you can not only find my podcast, but plenty of other top-notch material. Till next time, we out. Easy, y'all.